welcome back to Blendline TV, coming at you live from Winton Motor Raceway for round 2 of the 2023 Victorian State Circuit Racing Series. And we are getting set to go for Formula Ford Race 1. 25 minutes of Formula Ford action coming up for you. My name is Matt Dunlop. Joining me in the box is Paul Ziddy. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you with me.
Thank you very much, Matt. Pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be at Winton Raceway. Love getting out to rural Victoria. And look at this weather. Look at the picture-perfect facilities that the Benalla Auto Club has turned on for us. Awesome to go racing with Formula Ford. A spirited qualifying session. Back to the good old days. It was a quick pace. 1 second over the top 13 and half a second over the top 8. If you blinked, you lost 2 places. It was stunning, but it was a young Jake Santalucia who took the cookies. He put it on pole position with a sensational 25.19, just edging Zach Lobko. And then you have Jack Bussey off the second row in 3rd position. Alongside him, young Joey Fawcett.
Lining up behind them on rows 3 and 4, we've got Cody Mains-Ruddy in the number 69 car next to Matthew Holmes in the number 41. Bailey Collins in the Spectrum starts out of position 7 in the number 96, with Jared Farrell also in the Spectrum in 8th in the number 44. And
then your top 10 in the Duratec class is rounded out by Eddie Beswick and Nicholas Mendez. We run the Formula Ford 1600, the traditional Kent engine cars, and we have the Duratec cars as the premier category. And the Formula Ford 1600s, pole position, a well-known name in motor racing circles, Richard Davison, backing up his pole and 3 race wins from Sandown. So he's got a perfect track record this season. Alongside him, Grant Walker, Andrew Lamrock and Mark Zellner rounding out the Formula Ford 1600s as the Fords take the grid.
Bumper grid of Formula Fords of all categories lining up, and it's going to be very, very close given how qualifying sounded. The revs are building.
Yeah, we've got the green flag at the back just waiting for the lights. Can't quite see them from the commentary position, but we can see fantastic vision of the cars sitting on the grid, all eager to get this race underway.
We're not too far away from race start now. Drivers are looking ahead, waiting for the board to go. There it is, the revs are building. Santalucia on pole, Lobko out of second, getting ready to go. We're underway at Winton, a little bit of a sluggish start. They both get away relatively evenly, and it's clean all the way back, all the way down the front straight. We'll wait to see how they come through turn 1, but it is Jake Santalucia who gets the whole shot ahead of Zach Lobko as they all try to filter through turns 1 and 2 without tangling those very, very exposed Formula Ford tyres and suspension setups, but they all get through cleanly as they buzz past through turns 3 and 4. We're underway for that one.
Fantastic work by all these guys there. Look, a bit of experience, young heads, but quite a lot of experience from their karting days as well. They know that it's a 25-minute race. We have got, that looked like Kyle Cotter just running wide on the exit of turn 4, but he's kept it going, which is great to see.
No harm, no foul as they all filter through turns 7, 8 and 9, jostling for positions in some of the most opportune passing opportunities on this track. Getting your line right here is crucial so you can chain a move through all 3 of these corners and carry the momentum all the way down this straight to turn 10. They're getting pretty line astern now. People are starting to look for slipstreams and drafts down the long straights that we're about to encounter in between turn 10, 11 and 12 to the start-finish line. But look at the run at the front here. Lobko is all over the back. He might as well be cable tied to the gearbox of that Santalucia car. But it's not just him. Zach, I think that's Zach Bussey in 3rd. No, that's Joey Fawcett in 3rd as well.
Fawcett in 3rd, and Matt Holmes, who made a great start up into 4th place. So they're all buying into this, and we hoped for a race like this based on the qualifying times, and it is certainly delivering. You got Joe Fawcett tucked right up behind Nicholas Mendez, just see if he can find a way past as they file through turns 1 and 2 again.
Lobko's really trying to have a look there through turn 1. Couldn't get it done there, but he'll be putting that one in the bank for a later lap. As we're just seeing all the action coming past us through turns 2, 3. Geez, this is great scrapping. All these guys, as we saw in qualifying, are so closely matched in terms of pace. And these cars are very, very similarly paced as well. There's obviously key differences between the Spectras, the Miguels, and the other models that we see out here. But it presents absolutely brilliant racing. And part of the beauty of the Formula Fords is you don't have too much differences in the cars. You just suit up, get in, go.
Yeah.
And it's an ultimate test of the driver.
Absolutely, comes down to the driver. The cars are very analog to drive. They're a 4-speed H-pattern gearbox. They've got 3 pedals and you need to use them all. They reward right foot braking techniques, not the left foot braking, so you've got to match the heel and toe braking properly on the downshift. Just no aerodynamic aids. The cars move around a lot, so they really hone those skills within the driver. See how they...
Whoa, there's a moment. That is number 41.
Matt Holmes. That's Matt Holmes who's run wide there. I didn't quite see whether that was whether that was an own goal or an assist. We might get a replay of that. Matt's just had a diabolical run of luck the last few rounds, but we see the leaders back here again. Joey Fawcett all over the back of Nicholas Mendez, can't find a way past at the moment, but this is allowing Jake Santalucia to just check out that little bit. The guys battling are holding each other up, and Jake's just driving mistake free, got his head down, eyes forward as they say, and he's just seeing if he can build that gap so that whatever happens behind him, he doesn't have to fight too hard himself for that win.
That's exactly right. He's looking for some strong results here. Is Jake Santalucia, and he's in the box seat at the moment. He's still got a long race to go to make sure he can convert that to a decent haul of points, if not a win. I don't want to jinx anyone too early yet, so I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you that much for free.
Absolutely. Never put the commentator's curse on anyone. You give them a rap, and invariably it all goes pear-shaped shortly thereafter. But we're getting a replay of what happened to Matt Holmes, I believe.
Looks like he dipped a wheel in the grass.
Unfortunately, yeah, just got in a bit too deep under brakes, and that one, and again, the commentator's curse. I've just given him a rap about how he's had terrible luck. It's probably about the only mistake I've seen him make in the last 2 years.
Plenty of runoff down that part of the track, so no harm, no foul for Matt Holmes. He's out there again, but he has dropped all the way down to 15th, which is far from ideal for him.
Yeah.
Back up the front, Santalucia still leads from Lochno and Fawcett, but it's very close to the top three.
Yeah, and young Mains Ruddy has just posted the fastest lap of the race. So he'll be looking to capitalise on that. And this front four have just made a little bit of a break at the moment over the pack behind them, the way it looks. And then this will augur well for some fantastic vision toward the end of this race.
This is Liam Scott trying to find his way past Damon Woods in front of him. This is a battle for 10th position at the moment. So the beauty of these state series is that the points pay all the way down to 20th position. So no matter how far back down you are, basically you want to be pushing and racing as hard as you can, or as hard as you want to be, to get more points, because there's always more on offer. It's not like Formula One where it only pays out to the top 10 and after that you're done. It's great because it gives all drivers from all the way down the field a chance at getting some good results and giving them a reason to push, and it's what ends up with really, really competitive racing like we see here.
Absolutely, and you look at the cars in that top four now. Obviously, as we said, Jake's going to be thinking very much about just building that gap. Each of the guys behind is trying to work out where and how they can make that the move to get the pass done. And it's all a game of risk management out there. You want to take the lowest potential risk to get the greatest reward. And around here you've got the obvious ones are, if you can get a good run, there is a good pass to be made into turn one. There's also an opportunity of a pass into turn 3, which we see the drivers approaching now. No one close enough to put that on. If you get a great run through the sweeper, you can make the pass into the hairpin, but you know, that's a top gear corner in one of these Formula Fords. 100 mile an hour in the old language. Lots of action from the cockpit on the steering wheel. They're really light and float through there. You have to gather that up for a right-hander and then a big brake, so it's a really technical part of the track. Bit difficult to get it done there, but we've seen plenty of good drivers over the years. Tim Macro, who's spannering and engineering Leo Scott's car. Tim was just an absolute master of that when he ran Formula Ford. Lap after lap, he just picked people off going into that hairpin.
Looking at the battle pack for 11th position now. That is Hiei leading from Liam Scott. Behind them is Cotter. So this is a pretty tight scrap here. Trying to get as many points as these guys can. Not too many differences in terms of what you'll get here, but it looks like there might be a move on into turn 10. Liam Scott gets the job done.
I think you'll find that's Matt Holmes moving back up through the field.
I think you're right, it might be. My apologies, I have completely misplaced that one.
Good, that's Matt trying to recover from that spin that he had and put those back in. Similar, lots of green on both cars, so it does make it a little bit of a challenge. Leo all the way from New Zealand, so across the ditch for the race here this weekend. Has been racing the Spectrum in Formula Ford 16 back home, and racing the Spectrum Duratec car here under the Tim Macro Racing banner this weekend.
It's great to see drivers coming from not just over Victoria, but around Australia, and indeed international drivers coming in from time to time to compete in the Victorian State Series. It's great to see.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate in Victoria that for the last 20 plus years that I'm aware of, it really has been the most competitive Formula Ford racing anywhere in the country. So you'll routinely get the interstate drivers with national aspirations who will drop into the rounds here just to measure themselves against what is arguably the best around in the country, and to get the experience at these circuits that they will invariably see as part of the national championships. It looks like they've settled a little bit at the front now. It looks like everyone's playing a little bit of a waiting game, bit of high-speed chess going on at the moment, if you will. They're just trying to find a rhythm. 13 minutes left in this race, so still plenty of time left to get the job done. I mean, 13 minutes is the full race in some of the other rounds that we go to.
Current championship leader, we're just seeing on screen, Eddie Bezic making his way around. He's all the way back down in 7th position at the moment. He's trying to make his way up as we go back, walking towards Lobco, holding off Joey Fawcett. Great scrapping here. These cars have barely any aerodynamic grip at all, relying purely on the mechanical grip. Oh, a little bit sideways there, but just gets the move done. There might have been a slight bit of contact.
And I don't know whether or not they rubbed wheels or not, though. I was about to give them a rap saying that they were doing a really good job giving each other racing room. But definitely Mains Ruddy has slowed after that encounter, so not sure whether or not they may have touched or not, but they did look to be going through there quite cleanly at the time.
So for Santa Lucia pulling away a gap of 1.2 seconds at the front, and the field forming a little bit of a train for second place here. There is a nice tidy battle. Lobco driving a really, really good defensive race so far.
Yeah, and I think that's the guys behind will be thinking, if we can get around him, can we chase down Jake? We've got a replay now of that move from another, can we see from this angle? A little bit of smoke off the tyres, a bit of a giveaway that they may have touched. Looked a gentle touch, but enough obviously with these open wheelers, tyre on tyre. You definitely feel that through the steering wheel or wherever the contact was made.
It's such at face value, it just looks like it could be an incredibly, I guess, for lack of a better word, a fragile car with how much the wheels jut out, and there's no real protection with bodywork there, so it encourages the drivers, doesn't really encourage it, sort of forces it in a way to drive respectfully and carefully and to not bang wheels too much, because it could end disaster. Not just that, but also the potential damage you'd have to deal with bending suspension arms and damaging tyres and wheels as well. So it's a great testament to all of these drivers, young and old, in the Formula Ford category, to be able to keep their noses clean.
Absolutely, and that's the hallmark of open wheel racing, and always has been, is the fact that it can't be an out-and-out contact sport. You can't lean on each other the way you see the sedan categories do, because you simply will just destroy your car. And they're incredibly, I mean, you look at the G-forces that they absorb and the lap times they generate, there's a lot of strength in those components, but think about it like eggshell technology. You can stand on an egg and it'll hold you up in the right way, but if you touch it on the sides, it'll break. So that's the same deal with these. In tension and in compression, those arms are incredibly strong, but when you start banging wheels and bending them where they're not meant to be bent, then they will give.
Collins now pulling up right behind this battle for second, right behind Fawcett. There might be a draft down the main straight here. We'll have to see what happens into turn one. Oh, there's a move that just wants to happen through that first corner, but it's just not close enough for some of these drivers.
And they're catching one of the last of the Formula Ford 1600s now, and that'll be Mark Zellner, whose eyes will be about the size of dinner plates as he tries to keep himself out of the way of these. Mark's a great guy, an enthusiast, much like myself, a gentleman racer. When I'm out there, have a ball driving these cars, but Mark would be very much trying to keep out of the way of these young kids coming through with their hair on fire and just enjoy his motor racing.
Fastest lap so far goes to Santa Lucia with a 125.742 on lap 7 not too long to go. These cars that we're looking at now, Lobco and Fawcett have not got into the 125s, but somebody who has is Collins, as well as Bussey behind them. So those two guys in 4th and 5th are really going to be hustling the drivers in 2nd and 3rd ahead of them now, keeping this pack nice and tight because they've got just that little bit more pace. Obviously, it's pretty hard to flex their muscles right now when they're stuck in this battle pack, but if there's a move on, we could see some real movement up the field. Yeah,
absolutely. It does tend to suggest that, Zach's doing a sensational job holding down 2nd and doing nothing wrong there at all, but the evidence seems to be there that he is a little bit of a cork in a bottle at the moment. I'm sure the guys behind figured if they could get around him, then it could be game on for challenging for the race win. But they'll want to do that reasonably quickly because they're rapidly running out of laps to be able to shut down the gap to Jake and then see whether or not the old Murray Walker. Catching is one thing, passing is another thing entirely.
Sellers getting past Farrell there through turn 2, and the number 56 of Woods is trying to follow suit through 3, but has to tuck back in line behind him there.
Matt Holmes has done you a favour. He's put the green cars together. You can now get Holmes and Scott, and they're both in the same shot.
Oh, much appreciated. Watch me still mess up which one's which as I look at them every single time, but I'll try my darndest. This is a great little battle here forming for what I think is 7th position now with Sellers at the front of this pack. So, and there looks to be a little bit of movement there. There might have actually been Holmes getting past
getting the job done down at that hairpin as we spoke about, and they're still going on with it. Great quarter given to each other, a little bit of racing room, bit of respect. It's fantastic to watch. The racing over the last few seasons has been exceptional right through the field with the young guys giving each other respect, giving each other room, as we spoke about earlier. They all want to finish the race. You have to finish the race, and banging wheels isn't the way to go about it. So we've seen some incredible maturity shown by young heads. Matt's now going to see if he can close that and see how many more positions he can recover. Yeah, Joey getting very racy now on the back of Zach, as are Bailey Collins and Jack Bussey behind him as well.
Zach Lobco is making that Formula Ford 5 metres wide around this Winton circuit. He's not letting anyone get past him. It's an incredible defensive drive, but everyone, like you said, cork in a bottle is such an apt way to describe this because he just doesn't have the pace, unfortunately. He's still dropping back that little bit from Santa Lucia out in the lead, but he'll be loving this. He can't see anyone in his mirrors. He'll be streaking off in the distance like hunky-dory. No worries at all.
Absolutely, and look, when we say, to be fair to Zach as well, one, he's driving a defensive line, so that's not going to be the optimal line, and two, when we say hasn't got the pace, we're talking about maybe a tenth of a second. So he's doing a fantastic job. He's definitely got some talent and some speed. Home circuit for the young guys chasing him, and I think that shows here, and he's just doing a remarkable job to hold them up, but I'm pretty sure if they could get by him, they could inch away. Yeah, no disrespect to Zach Lobco at all. It's really a testament to how tight-knit all these drivers are and how close on par they are, that a difference of just a tenth of a second can show up in such a way. I think Bailey Collins, sorry to interrupt there, but I think Bailey Collins just made a little bit of a mistake under brakes and has lost the position to Jack Bussey as a consequence. So it was a good clean move, just got in there a bit deep. Similar, not quite the same outcome, but similar to what Matt Holmes did earlier in the race. Let's try and get in the mind of Joey Fawcett here. What is going through his mind? Is he trying to sort of set up moves a few laps in advance, as we are seeing the number 96 of Collins trying to get on the inside of Bezic through turn 4. They're going to be side by side on the run to 5. Bezic will have the line and he should be able to get it back in 5. Indeed, through that sweeper once again, very technical. Yeah, look, Joey, again, really mature young man, a great racer, good clean racer as well. So he'll have been having a look at the back of that car for quite a while. He'll be trying to sum up where he thinks he might be able to get a clean move done. And then there's going to be the element of him that's 16, 17-year-old racer, just wants to get the job done at any opportunity. But he's going to temper that by making sure he does it with the lowest risk possible to position himself. I mean, race 1 of the weekend, that's not when you want to be having issues. That's exactly right. We've still got so much more running to do this weekend. 2 more races of Formula Ford coming up tomorrow, so don't miss either of those if you're tuning in on Blendline TV, or if you're thinking of coming down to the track here at Winton Motor Raceway. It's going to be another sensational day here tomorrow, and tickets are
I can't remember how much the tickets are, free for under 16s, and it's a great day out, honestly. Come on down, say good day, and come and experience this trackside. You will not regret it if you can. There you go, adults $10, under 16s free. Victorian State Series. It is some of the best racing going around, so accessible, and we just love supporting it.
Yep, and the weather's going to be like this again. Blue skies, sunshine, gentle breeze, not too hot. What's not to love?
Exactly, what is not to love? And you get to see brilliant racing like we're seeing here. We aren't too far away from a finish, though. The timer has just ticked under 4 minutes, which suggests that we probably only have two, maybe three laps.
Yep, the leader may get that third lap started, so they've got 2 or 3 laps. So Joey's now, you know, the intensity will start to rise under that helmet. He'll know that he's running out of time. He'll be able to see that the cars behind him are now in play, as it were, and you know that's not going to make him happy, because he's pretty sure that he should be down the road from that and not having to defend himself. So he's in that. Zach's just full on defense mode. Joey's running that line of, well, I need to find a way around, but I can't make I can't really position myself for an overtaking move if that leaves me vulnerable to get past myself.
Spare thought for Bussy as well, trying his darnest to get through this field, but just not able to find inroads in 4th position. But he's going to be there to capitalise if a spot suddenly becomes available and a gap that exists that he can go for. So we'll keep our eyes very keenly focused on that, as we now seeing a little bit of the action a little bit further down in the field. This is still the battle for 7th, which looks to have thinned out just a little bit. We're back to the battle for 2nd now. Lobco still driving an incredibly defensive race. That car is getting a little bit slippery here and there, but he's doing a brilliant job of controlling it. Big lockup from the number 74 of Bussy there, and he's fallen off the back just a little bit before set.
And that's again one of the things I love about Formula Ford is there's nowhere to hide. That was such a small mistake, and you can see he's gone from being right on the gearbox to what's that, a good 4 or 5 car lengths back. And he'll be quite steamed under the helmet there, kicking himself for giving those spots away so easily when they're so hard to fight for to win in the first place.
And it's important to just hold that momentum. Those little mistakes can kill momentum, especially through these flowing sections of the Winton circuit where you have to chain your corners together to almost perfection to make sure you can carry the speed and carry the momentum. So you want to be on the money for the entirety of the race. Focus is really important around here.
Yeah, definitely, and we're so fortunate to have Winton Motor Raceway so handy and accessible from Melbourne. Our drivers get to come up here and do the Friday practice days and test days, and it's just a great circuit with a mixture of turn 1, 2 is quite a fast combination. The sweeper we spoke about, 100 mile an hour, the car out of shape, and then you get the super technical work. We got a checkered flag that's come up a little bit early, surprised us, but we have the checkered flag. Well-deserved win for Jake Santa Lucia. And Zach Lobco drove superbly, a superb defensive drive to hold on to 2nd from Fawcett, from Bussy, and then Bailey Collins to round out your 5.
Eddie Bezic brings it home in P6 with Sellers behind him in 7th, followed by Farrell. Matt Holmes recovering to 9th position, and Damon Woods rounding out in top 10 here in race 1 of the Formula Ford here at the Vic State Race Series.
Of course, not forgetting the Formula Ford 1600 battle that has been going on as well. We have Richard Davison taking a well-deserved and commanding victory, lights the flag. That's maintaining his perfect score for this season.
4 wins from 4 so far from Davison. What a great start to his campaign he's having.
And that stunning looking car, it was the car campaign by both of his sons, Alex and Will, and it has been restored beautifully to that original Wins livery. It's just if you do come down, ladies, gentlemen, and get a ticket and come racing, make sure you take the stroll down to the racing pit lane and get a look at that car up close. It is a piece of art.
Those results for you once again. Jake Santa Lucia takes the win by 4.926 seconds over Zach Lobco in 2nd, who did a brilliant job to hold off Joe Fawcett and Jack Bussy. Bailey Collins in 5th position in the number 96, followed by Eddie Bezic in the number 31. Harrison Sellers in the 13 car. In 7th, 8th was Jared Farrell. Matthew Holmes in 9th, and Damon Woods 10th. We go back to Leo Scott, Kyle Cotter, Fraser Hiei, Harrison Blanchard, who's dropped off quite a bit from where he was in the Sandown round, so not the weekend he's having so far that he wants. Carly Fleming, Richard Davison, the first of the 1600s with Grant Walker, Andrew Lamrock and Mark Zellner behind him.
Matt, was a pleasure to make the call with you. I will see you back here tomorrow for race 2 of the Formula Ford action.
Pleasure to have you in the box with me as well, Paul. All the best. We'll see you, everyone, back here tomorrow for more Formula Ford. But in the meantime, we've got more racing still to come today, of course, so do not go anywhere. Next up will be Improved Production. You're live with Blendline TV. We're down here with the winner of Formula Ford Race 1, Jake Santaluccia. Jake, first of all, congratulations on a fantastic race.
Going into the race, I thought just have to get a really good start. Thought about the process of the start and completely nailed it. Just drove away from the field for the rest of the race. I was a bit concerned when I missed the gear and they caught sort of back up to me, but after that I looked at my markers, focused on them and continued to pull away. So yeah, it was good.
Feeling good about yourself and your car for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, the car was great. All thanks to Scotty and Mick from Sonic. They prepared the car great and it did everything I wanted to do, if not better, so yeah, it was great.
Tell us a little bit about where you're at in your career in terms of what journey you've taken to get to Vic State Formula Ford and where you're looking to take it in the future.
So I started go-karting in 2017, just down at the local Oakley track, just doing laps. Then we thought we might as well start racing and then it continued from there, so started doing nationals in go-karts. Then I was like, well, where to now? And someone suggested Formula Ford, so we thought we'd try and do a test day with Sonic, and that went well. And they decided that they could have me on the team and just kept going from there.
Well, all the best for the rest of your career moving forward. There's got a lot ahead of you, and of course, all the best for races 2 and 3 tomorrow.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Welcome back to Blendline TV. Formula Fords are about to take to the track for race 2, a 20-minute dash here at Winton Motor Raceway. Matt Dunlop is my name. I'm still in the box. And joining me now for race 2 of Formula Ford is Paul Ziddy. Paul, it's great to have you back here.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back. Another stunning day of weather. Another picture-perfect race circuit prepared for us by Benalla Auto Club. So everything is there for more fantastic motorsport right through all the categories, particularly Formula Ford, which is my biased favourite that is here. It's grid coming through. Jake Santaluccia, we just saw that interview with him. Great drive yesterday for the win. Starts pole as a result of that. Zach Lobko out of 2. Defensive drive yesterday. The guys will be seeing if they can find a way around him. Joe Fawcett and Jack Bussey fill out the second row.
Eddie Bezic will take 5th position in this race next to Harrison Sellers in 6th. Jared Farrell and Matt Holmes will line up behind them. As we see grid spots through 9-12, Damon Woods, Leo Scott, Kyle Cotter and Fraser Hiei.
Yeah, and then Bailey Collins, who got a 30-second penalty for that touch with Cody Mains Ruddy yesterday, has relegated him to 13th alongside Harrison Blanchard, Carly Fleming and Cody Mains Ruddy. Rounding out the Duratex is Nicholas Mendez. And then we have the first of the Formula Ford 1600s, the Kents. Richard Davison, perfect season so far. 2 poles from 2 qualies, 4 race wins from 4 starts. He lines up alongside Grant Walker, Andrew Lamrock, and then rounding out the field, Mark Zellner in the number 36.
So 21 cars taking to the field for race 2 here. 4 of them Kent class cars, the rest all Duratex. And there's going to be great action all the way up and down the field, as there always is in Formula Ford. As you said, it's a ripping day, 17.8 degrees. It's already warmed up a couple of degrees from the last 944 race. Barely a breeze here. It's, like you said, magnificent day for racing.
Beautiful day, and they're very comfortable in the single-seaters on days like this. Gets a little bit hot under the collar on the really hot days, and conversely, your fingers and toes get a little bit numb on the very cold ones. So the guys will be loving those conditions, as will the Yokohama tyres, the AO48 R-Spec Road Racing Radial. Great supporters of the Formula Ford category in Australia are Yokohama, and in Victoria supported by Traction Tyres and more. If you need cars for your race car, tyres for your race car, tyres for your road car, tyres for your four-wheel drive, probably even tyres for your boat, go and see Andrew and Shane down at Traction Tyres and more.
Please make sure you do that. Let's have a quick look at how the championship's shaping up. Eddie Bezic is currently leading the standings with 116 points, 17 points clear of Jack Bussey in second on 99, but Jack Bussey will be starting this race a couple of spots ahead of Eddie Bezic, and it'll be interesting to see how many moves they can make here to sort of improve their championship position. I understand it is pretty early doors in the title race, but points are going to be on all these drivers' minds.
Absolutely, points win championships, right? So you always want to get as many of them as you can. Eddie had a stellar run at Sandown, winning the round, still carries that lead. Had a couple of little dramas in qualifying, but one thing about Eddie is he is just a standout, such a smart and hard racer. Very, very good racecraft. So no doubt he'll be looking to make up those positions coming back through the field, maximising the points, minimising the points you give away as well. So getting as many places you can, but being smart enough not to go for the low percentage move that puts you in the gravel, and you get no points for that at all. The field now comes through to take up their grid positions. Mark Zellner at the back of the field just coming through onto the grid straight now, so before too long we should have them all gridded up.
We just saw that glorious Wins liveried Richard Davison car pulling in as well.
Lovely car and beautifully restored. It's just a piece of Formula Ford history in Australia, and it's great to see it out being raced. So they have formed up. I think I saw Grant Walker coming into pit lane, unfortunately, so it looks like he's had an issue, but we'll pick that up.
Looks to be a couple of empty grid spots here, but the rest of the cars are lined up and have their eyes on the lights. We are getting ready for a race start here in race 2 of the Formula Fords at the Victorian State Race Series.
They've got the 5-second board.
The revs are building.
Red light on.
We're underway at Winton.
Good start by both cars on the front row. Looked like a pretty even one. I think Jake will hold on to that lead as they go in. And the field will filter through turns 1 and 2. A couple of locked brakes, but nothing really in that.
Everyone gets through cleanly here, and it is Jake Santaluccia who will lead at the start of this race, with Zach Lobko resuming his spot in 2nd position, Joey Fawcett and Jack Bussey in 3rd and 4th, and they are currently trying to break away a little bit and form a gap as it's compressing a little bit. There's a race for 5th position on the moment behind these cars I'm seeing, but we're also seeing lots of jostling for position all the way up and down the field, as you tend to see on lap 1. Everyone's just trying to get those crucial positions as early as they can, almost to move on there for car number 13. Didn't get it quite done there.
Harrison Sellers having a quick look at, I think that might have been Eddie Bezic that he was having a quick look at, and he at the same time is under pressure from Matt Holmes, with Leo Scott hot on his heels and Damon Woods right on the gearbox of him. Fantastic Formula Ford action. Great opening lap by Jake Santaluccia. He's got about 3-4 cars, which is on an opening lap in a Formula Ford race, a very, very handy lead. So he's done a stellar job getting off the line and building that buffer. And you've now got Joey Fawcett once again welded onto that gearbox of Zach Lobko, trying to find a way around a very wide car.
We saw yesterday, didn't we? Zach Lobko drove an incredible defensive race to keep in 2nd position, but geez, he's under threat here as they come into turn 1. I'm not sure if there's a move on here. There isn't just yet. Lobko holds on. Oh, a little bit shaky through turn 1 and 2, but composes himself brilliantly. Look at Joey Fawcett. He may as well be cable tied to the back of that gearbox, as I said yesterday.
Absolutely, and watching them move around through turn 1, I mean, that it looks, we've got a car in the wall that looks like, I think I could be wrong, it looks like it might be car number 67.
That would be
Kyle Cotter.
Kyle Cotter. What a shame for Kyle.
Just on the exit, I was just about to say that you see them move around through 1 and 2, which is the cars are one of the aspects of driving the Formula Fords. No aerodynamic downforce, a relatively narrow tyre, so it's all about keeping that momentum up, and the cars do dance around a little bit, but
safety
it's
car boards
all under
out.
control. We'll have a safety car while they remove this car from in the wall. I don't know whether or not our good friends at Blendline captured the footage of what happened there, and we might get another look at it, but that's very unfortunate for young Kyle Cotter. His dad, Justin Cotter, runs Synergy Motorsport, championship winning at national level, and here we have the replay coming up. And yeah, he's just got it wide on the exit, over that ripple strip, and he's look, he'll be ruining that. But if it gives him any peace whatsoever, certainly not the first driver to do that in Formula Ford. Won't be the last, and there are some very, very experienced and storied names that went on to have stellar careers who have had similar accidents.
It's a pretty scary place to go off on the exit of turn 2 there, because the wall really comes up. Let's have a look. Gee, that car could have gone any trajectory, so I think it was pretty fortunate that while he did impact the wall, it was not as bad as it could have been, and luckily for us and everyone else here, Kyle got out of the car without too much of a scratch on him, so that's really good to see, and that's the main thing here, as we see the officials now tending to that car, getting off the track as soon as we can so we can get a resumption of racing. And we should take the opportunity as well to give a huge shout out and a massive thanks to all the officials and all the people who come out and can help put these events together, because we could not do it without them. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, 888 Home Loans, who are helping us put this event on here. 1-800-1-888-00 is the number to call for all your home loan needs.
And the sponsors right throughout the field, certainly for Formula Ford, as we alluded to, Yokohama Tyres Australia, wonderful supporters, give us a fantastic product in the Yokohama tyre that we go racing on. Castrol supply the engine and gearbox lubricants, and Ferrodo brake pads, all wonderful supporters of Formula Ford racing here in Australia.
We couldn't do what we're doing here without all the wonderful sponsors and partners who help us put these things together. So to everyone who's got a sticker on the side of a car in any capacity, or who's just even contributing to what we're doing here at Big State Race Series, thank you so much. Like I said, we can't do it without you. As we see the field continue to circulate around behind the safety car, you were speaking of momentum just before the safety car came out, and that's going to quell it for everybody. But it's also a bit of a clean slate mentally. If you're in the middle of a battle pack, you sort of get a chance to reset, reevaluate where you're at with your race strategy, how you're going to go. And it's sort of, a fresh start, I guess, when the restart will happen in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's its own pressure. It's a different type of start from the standing start. And again, a lot of these guys have got some experience. Few guys, this will be their first safety car restart. You'd be fairly early in your Formula Ford career if it's your first safety car restart, I would suggest. Tends to be that way. But we came through, I mean, this is our 5th race for the year and our first safety car in Victoria State Race Championship, so it has been a really, really good year of Formula Ford racing so far. The guys have given each other the room, and there's been good, hard, clean racing. So, but a safety car restart, different technique. Obviously, you cannot overlap until you pass that start-finish line. So there's no overtaking, no overlapping until you get past there. So that catches some of the guys out. They'll be thinking about that, and they'll be thinking about how they can do that. The leader, Jake, will be thinking about how can I maximise my opportunity to keep that lead that I worked so hard to build. And for other guys back through the field, as you say, if you're in a battle pack, you're thinking now, well, maybe I can catch the guy in front of me napping on the restart, and I can get a reasonably easy move done into one. So we'll see what it brings.
It's almost a bit of mind games you have to play with your fellow drivers on the restart, timing your run to perfection, especially through those last 2 turns, 11 and 12. Getting the right momentum through there to get a great run down the main straight is crucial and can really put you in the box seat as you come to turns 1 and 2 on a restart. Absolutely,
and you remember the early days, there was the old adage they used to say that safety cars beget safety cars, and in part that was because in the early days those mind games actually led to the driver in front who might fake that they were going to go and then prop, and that of course leads to a concertina effect, and you get these big crashes all back through the field. The regulators have quite sensibly brought in all sorts of measures now to stop that from happening. So once the lights go out on the safety car and it pulls away, the lead car effectively becomes the safety car. They must maintain their speed, and then once they decide that they would like to go, they have to keep going. So as the leader, once you accelerate, you must continue to accelerate. We've been told the safety car will be in this lap, so I'm not 100% sure where they do it here at Winton, whether it's on the approach into the left-hander at turn 9 or on the run down the back straight, but I think it's on that run down to 9. You'll see the lights go out on the safety car. Halfway down the back straight, you'll see the lights go out, and that'll be a notification to the field that the safety car is coming in. It'll pull away, and then young Jake will be effectively the safety car. When he decides to go, that's when the racing resumes once they get past the start-finish line. But that'll be the notification to the rest of the field that, hey, we're accelerating.
Not too long now, the safety car lights are out and it's making a bit of a gap, so all the drivers will stop weaving to stop putting extra temperature into their tyres and will form up line astern behind Jake Santalucia there, who will control the field, as you said. But look at Zach Lobko. He's raring to go, as is Joey Fawcett right behind him. They're barely giving him any space there. They're letting him know. They're filling Jake Santalucci's mirrors, saying, just so you know, we're back again, mate. Do your best to pull away again. But we're going to be very, very close to a race start now. Just still coasting through the final corner. That apex, no, he's still slowing, and there we go.
You hear the revs rise, and we are racing. Now that applies to the entire field, so even the guys back in the field, and there we go. We're going for the move. We've got Lobko.
He may have been ahead of the control
line.
Very
close, so the officials no doubt will look at that, and I think that Jake has positioned himself very nicely to have the run back into turn 3 to take that position back. They go side by side. This is very close racing. Jake then set up for 4. This is fantastic Formula Ford racing to watch. This will be very interesting as they head into the very fast sweeper, and Joey Fawcett seeing if there was a chance for him to follow through. No, that door was closed. So we have Zach Lobko, a new leader for the first time. Can he still make that car wide as he did all through race 1 yesterday?
This will be the ultimate test of Zach Lobko's defensive driving skills as he moves up into the lead of the race. Geez, they were side by side a lot of the way through turn 5 there. It's a very brave place to drive like that. We were seeing in the last 944 race a lot of moves happening here, a lot of dives to carry momentum up the back straight. Will we see similar things here? There's another move a little bit further back there. It looks like Liam Scott just getting past Matt Holmes in the 2 green cars there, pairing up quite nicely. But Zach Lobko is trying to make a gap on Santaluccia, but it's just not happening. Joey Fawcett is right there with him, so we've got a fantastic little battle pack for first, second and third, but fourth and beyond and not too far behind.
No, a different dynamic in the race today, and that's what a safety car brings into play.
Santaluccia trying to have a look around the outside as they go down the main straight. He's not going to be able to get that done unless he can hold the line, which he cannot. So Lobko slots back into first position, and Joey Fawcett is licking his lips at this point, thinking surely there's a move on here.
There has got to be a way for me to make a move here. But it's been sensational to watch the really mature, for such young guys, really mature racing here, and that opening lap after the safety car was just absolute champagne Formula Ford racing.
Exactly right. There's so many young drivers in this category who don't have a massive amount of experience under their belts compared to some of the other categories here. But like you said, the maturity and the racecraft on show here is second to none. All these competitors have such great respect for each other, and it's brilliant to see. And it means the result is good, hard, clean racing as we're seeing at the front. So we just had a first full lap completed, and Zach Lobko has posted the fastest lap of the race, 1:28.389.
In front, and he's got that carrot, and he is chasing hard.
He certainly is. We're just looking at a bit of action further back here. That's car number 11, belonging to Fraser Hiei there, just getting past. No, that's who am I looking at there? That's Cody Mains Ruddy, just getting around the outside there. So he was the one caught in that tangle yesterday.
That'll be Matt Holmes, who is hot on his heel, and there is Bailey Collins in front of him. Now, we talk about these young guys and relatively inexperienced. Of course, that's in car racing. We need to remember most of these guys are 5 or 6 year olds. Oh, and there's a move from Joey Fawcett. Can he get it done? He was almost there, but not quite. That is great racing. But most of these guys started as 5 or 6 year olds in go-karts. So, you know, at 16, 17, some of these guys have got 10 or 12 years of racing. We've got 2 cars that have come together on the exit of turn 3. I can't quite make out from the commentary booth which ones they are. I dare say we may see a safety car again. They will be turtled on that. We've got Leo Scott, and it looks like, having just set the fastest lap of the race, has come together with, it looks like, checkered flag. They're going to check a flag this one while they recover those 2.
No safety car.
No safety car. They will get the checkered. And that looks like Leo Scott and Eddie Bezic. Unfortunately, that is terrible news for both of those guys.
That's a huge hit to Eddie Bezic's championship hopes as well, because the DNF is going to lose him so many points here. It's so important to stay consistent, and when you get caught up in incidents like that, it really makes it tough to recover. But look at Jake Santaluccia, 2 corners left. They're still under green flag conditions, and he's got that spot back. So does Joey Fawcett. He's going to capitalise too. Great manoeuvre. Zach Lobko drops from first to third. The checkered flag is waving. Jake Santaluccia wins race 2. What a finish ahead of Joey Fawcett, Zach Lobke, and Jack Bussey bringing up the pack in 4th there. What a great finish to the race.
Harrison Sellers making his way through for a great 5th. He'll be stoked with that outcome. Bailey Collins recovering from 13th back to 6th.
But Harry Sellers does have a 5-second penalty next to his name for a start line, a safety car restart infringement we saw on the screen earlier. So that is going to drop him back through the standings quite a bit. So that 5th place finish on the road is going to be all for naught, and that will promote car number 96 into 5th position of Bailey Collins.
And then we've got car number 69, Cody Mains Ruddy. We've got a replay of that last corner. This is brilliant Formula Ford racing at its finest. Opportunity is there. You seize on that. They then compromise each other on the exit. Joey Fawcett says, thank you very much. Don't have to ask me twice. I will have 2nd place.
What a finish there. We've seen so much great action through turns 11 and 12 here at this Winton Motor Raceway, and that's what you want to see on a last lap. Some brilliant racing, confirmation of your final results there. Jake Santaluccia getting the job done once again by what ended up being 0.4 of a second over Joey Fawcett. Zach Lobko couldn't drive another defensive race like he could yesterday. Unfortunately dropped to 3rd. It's still a fantastic result for him to round out the podium.
Absolutely. And then we see the cars being picked up and brought back in. Hopefully not too much damage to the 2 guys who are hung up on that curb, and they will be back for more racing this afternoon for our 3rd and final race at 30 minutes, 2:30 this afternoon.
We can't wait to see you then. You'll be joining me in the box again, Paul Ziddy. I'll be back
Indeed,
in the box.
I will see you all later right here on Blendline TV.
Welcome back to Winton Motor Raceway. We're gearing up for Formula Ford race number 3 here in the 888 Home Loans Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. It is round 2 of the 2023 season, and we're gearing up for a 25-minute race here. We've seen a lot of action in the Formula Ford so far, and we're really, really keen for a lot more of it. My name is Matt Dunlop, and joining me in the box once again for Formula Ford is Paul Ziddy. Paul, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Matt Yokohama, as you will affectionately be known when you call Formula Ford Racing, sponsored by Yokohama Australia.
Yeah, fair cop. I'll take that.
Yep. Good to be back here. Let's see. Everyone is waiting with bated breath for race 3. 2 fantastic races so far. Yesterday, flag to flag, great battles throughout the field. This morning, a couple of little incidents. First safety car that we've had this year for Formula Ford, which is great, but just a couple of little incidents in that, and we'll see if they can settle down and give us 25 minutes of unfettered Formula Ford magic to watch.
And as a result of that incident towards the end of the race that we saw with Eddie Bezic being caught up, he has now been overtaken. Thank you very much for the updated graphic there to our friends at Blendline TV. Eddie Bezic has now been overtaken in the championship standings by Jack Bussey by a 7-point margin. But let's take a look at the grid for race 3.
Okay, we've got, by virtue of his wins in races 1 and 2, Jake Santalucia will start out of pole position. Lining up alongside him will be Joe Fawcett. Jack Bussey, recently championship leader, starts out of 3rd position next to Bailey Collins in the number 96 Victorian Freight Services Spectrum.
Cody Mains Ruddy out of position 5 in the car number 69 next to Matt Holmes in the number 41. Damon Woods sits behind them on the number 7 position in the 56 car, with Fraser Hiei in the Spectrum out of number 8.
Your top 10 for Formula Ford rounded out with Nicholas Mendez in the 65 alongside Zach Lobko, Harrison Blanchard and Carly Fleming filling out positions 11 and 12.
So Zach Lobko finishing on the road. I think he was
3rd position.
3rd position on the road.
And as with Harrison Sellers, a 5-second time penalty imposed by the stewards for a safety car restart infringement, which relegated him to 10th, and Harrison will see on the next page out of 13th as a consequence of his 5-second penalty. Lining up alongside him, Eddie Bezic, who was unfortunately caught up with Leo Scott in that incident toward the end of the last race. Kyle Cotter, who we saw have that spectacular contact with the wall outside of 2, is back in the race. Jared Farrell rounds out the Duratex. Then Richard Davison, keeping his perfect track record alive this season in the Wins Van Diemen, will start out of pole position for the Formula Ford 1600s alongside Andy Lamrock, with Mark Zellner on the 2nd row.
Rounding out the grid is Grant Walker as the 4th and final runner in the Kent class. It's going to be a great grid. As you said, 5 from 5 on the trot for Davison in the Kent class cars in that sensationally presented wins machine, beautifully prepared.
Absolutely, and full credit to the Ellery Motorsport crew who did that restoration and maintain it in that stunning condition that it now is. Cars taking the grid. Yellow car flags being withdrawn by the marshals as they're happy that their section of the start line is clear. We'll look for the green flag at the back to let the starter know that the field is set. Field gets the 5-second board, the red light will come on, and when it goes out, we are racing.
Revs are going to start building very soon. All eyes to the lights, and we're underway here in
Great
Winton.
start from the front row, both of them off the front row. Fantastic run into turn one. I think Jake will have that covered from Joe. Yes, he does.
So great start there from Jake Santalucci to make it back into first position here and keep, hopefully, his great run of form for this weekend going. He's sitting entirely out in front ahead of Joey Fawcett.
Absolutely, the field gets through cleanly, I say tentatively, yes, cleanly through turns 3 and 4, and Joey is definitely going with Jake. We noted in the last 2 races that Jake was able to open that gap. We have Matt Holmes looks to have fired it off at the sweeper, easy to do on the cold tyres, just a very rare mistake. That's 2 this weekend, but I think they're probably the only 2 mistakes I've seen him make, so that's unfortunate. Being very smart here. Now, typically you're told to rejoin at the nearest possible place. When you go off at the sweeper, if you stay to the letter of the law, you actually have to drive back at traffic. So he's done the right thing, very carefully driven across to the hairpin, rejoined at the back of the grid. So that's just very mature and smart driving on his part.
Let's take a look at the replay of what happened. He did it all on his own there, unfortunately. Just got a little bit shaky going through the sweeper, dipped a wheel in the dirt, and it was all turned around by then. But he was very fortunate to have it pointing in the correct direction, and he's able to keep it running. No safety car, no yellow flags. We're still underway here at Formula Ford.
Correct, and you got a double whammy there. When you get out wide at the sweeper, 1, you get into the dirt. 2, it actually drops off camber from about 3/4 of the way across the track. So once you get out there, you are very much a passenger.
Especially when there's been a lot of running so far today. There's such high tyre load going through that sweeper that you get a lot of marble build up offline, and as soon as you got offline, there's no way you're holding on to that. We're going to look up the inside here. Whoa, Joey Fawcett trying to get past in turn 3, but Jake Santalucci just holds on.
Slammed that door rather aggressively, but well done for holding on to that position. That's brought Bailey Collins and Jack Bussey both into this 4-way battle for the lead, which is what we'd be wanting to see, right? We surmised that if they could get around Zach, that we had about 4 or 5 cars that could absolutely run with Jake, and that's exactly what we're now seeing play out in front of us.
That's the 69 of Cody Mains Ruddy that's now moved into 3rd position, so a great run from him so far, having not finished the first race of this weekend, so looking to recover a decent haul of points here. Looks a little bit of gunk on the line of turn 5 there. We'll have a look next time they go through, but the drivers might need to tiptoe through that part of the track, but we've got a great train of cars leading this race with a nice battle pack of 4 cars here from first all the way down to the number 69 of Cody Mains. He's moved to the 3rd now. Just waiting for timing to update.
Yes, indeed, because he's made that move on Bailey and got through. I think you can just see that the front pair, Jake and Joe, appear to have just that little bit of an edge. They can make that gap. It's when Joe has a look and they both balk each other through that run that you start to see they bring the other 2 in, and momentarily lost footage here in the commentary position. Sorry about that.
Oh, a little bit of a shake there from the number 96 of Collins, trying to find as much grip as he possibly can on the run into turn 3. He might have fallen off in terms of just 1 or 2 tenths of this front pack, but it's still very, very close in between these top 3 or 4 cars. If you look back further to a battle shaping up here as they go into the sweeper, we'll have a look to see if there's any. Doesn't look to be a huge amount of rubbish on the track, which is good news for the drivers because they can really commit through that turn 5 sweeper.
And Edison Bezic is making a good run back up through the field. Already got himself back up to 8th position, so recovering very nicely from that unfortunate incident. And he'll be looking to maximise the points here to keep his championship hopes alive. He's been relegated to 2nd, but he'll look to minimise the damage from that and see if he can hold on as the leaders now come into turn 9.
Turn 10 on the run to 11.
Turn 10 and the run to 11. Again, you could throw a handkerchief over the front 3. It's
We've seen in the first 2 races of this weekend, Jake Santalucci has been able to pull away a bit of gap at the front, but now his defensive capabilities are really going to be tested here at Winton. Yeah,
most certainly, and this is exactly what we were wanting to see come in this last race. Fantastic opportunity as they will Bailey Collins be not quite close enough to make that move on Cody Mains Rutty into one on that occasion.
Not close enough to get the move done, but close enough to let him know, hey mate, I'm still here. And now he's looking in both of his mirrors, really letting him know that he wants to get the hurry on.
And on that lap around, Bailey Collins actually picking up the fastest lap of the race so far and really closing up on Mains Ruddy now as they approach the sweeper. We've got Lobko and Beswick. Oh, Eddie just runs a little wide on the entry to the sweeper, gathers it up, shows amazing skills and car control to do that, and then covers off and is back on the hammer of Lobko as they go into the sweeper.
Joey Fawcett here we're seeing in second position has been spending quite a bit of this race weekend just trying to get past cars in front who are exhibiting some great defensive skills, and it shows that Fawcett has a lot of pace that he just wants to unleash. He's a bit of a cork in the bottle, isn't he?
Absolutely, and look, showing great maturity as well. Obviously knows that you got to go to these championship points. If you want those championship points, you got to finish the race. So you'll rarely see him. You'll never see him go for what you'd call a desperate move. A very clean but hard racer, very fair racer. He'll be biding his time. He knows the opportunity will come, and sometimes you got to put that pressure on and try and invite the mistake. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to fill the mirrors of Santa Lucia's Focus on Furniture number 4 machine and see if he can't extract an error from the young driver.
It's a real test of how he can handle the pressure here, isn't it? And there will be another more than 15 minutes of that test because we've got a 25-minute race here in this feature race at Winton Motor Raceway. So there's a few more points on offer in his one as well. So the stakes have increased quite a bit.
And the front 2 have just dropped the battle pack behind them, it's now Collins back in front of Mains Ruddy. While they're doing that and holding each other up a little bit, Jack Bussey, our new championship leader, is buying into this 3-way battle now for third, I should say, having just set the fastest lap of the race himself.
126.0701, just on the cusp of the 125s here in the Formula Ford Championship. There's confirmation on his screen, and he is red hot, is Jack Bussey, flying in from regional Queensland, I believe.
Absolutely, back from my old stamping grounds as originally a Central Queenslander, and he's being engineered this weekend by John Martin, who is similarly Yeppoon, just down the road. The country boys are in town and they're loving it. They're in the country circuit of Victoria, and they're showing that those Central Queensland guys got some pace. John did it back in 2005 and 6 with us, went on to have a stellar international career. Now back here, still part of that Spectrum family and engineering the next generation of young drivers.
You love to see it, and you love to see this racing at the front here as Jack Bussey improves his fastest lap of the race again to crack the 125s. We're seeing Jake Santalucci really doing his best to hold off behind, and the battle pack here for 6th position. Zach Lobko still doing another great defensive showing here at Winton Motor Raceway, not letting anyone past him and holding on to as many points as he can. Now this is the battle between car number 3, Blanchard, holding off the 65 behind him of Mendez.
Yeah, this is, again, the hallmark of Formula Ford. Great racing up and down the field. Wherever you are in the pack, generally speaking, there'll be someone around your pace with whom you can race. Just awesome fun. Whether you're a young gun looking to make a career, or whether you're, like myself, an enthusiast that just loves driving such cool racing cars, encourage anyone that can get out there and go Formula Ford racing. It's not just for the young guns, it's for silly old guys like me as well. But once you've driven one, there's no looking back. Just too much fun.
There's a place in this category for just about everyone, for all, like you said, all these young guns looking to make a move. And yeah, people who are still able to get out there and have a good time in whatever machinery they can get their hands on, whether it's a Duratec class car or the Kent class cars.
Or indeed the historics. You look at Grant Walker's beautifully turned out historic Formula Ford, and there's historic Formula Ford racing going on around the country on any given weekend as well. So whatever you want to do, 50 plus years of history in this country, literally hundreds of cars that are out there. Go and find one that's in a garage, leverage it out of the old owner's hands, take it out and go racing.
The fastest lap has now gone to the number 96 of Bailey Collins with a 125.875.
And he's looking to put a gap on Mains Ruddy and Buzzy, who are now in their own race for 4th. And he's seeing whether or not he might be able to buy back into the battle for the lead. So we've got our two leaders. I think it'd be fair to say they're starting to hold each other up a little with the defence of Santa Lucia and the attacks from Joe Fawcett, and Bailey will be looking at that saying, you know what, I think I can have a bit of this.
He'll be licking his chops, and he's still got just over 12 minutes to go to catch up to those leading two cars, which I think is more than capable of if he can keep this pace going. So we might see a cracking three-car battle towards the end of this race here.
Yeah, most certainly, and that's, yeah, like I say, it's what this weekend has been building towards. So it's just amazing to see. Looking back, we can see the splendid livery of the Wins car just entering the sweeper now with Richard Davison at the wheel. A comfortable lead in the FF 1600 or the Kent class with, it looks to be, I'm going to say that looks like Walker in second and Andy Lamrock showing on our monitors in third, and there he goes past us now on the old main pit straight as the leaders come back into turns 1 and 2. We'll check the time around, and Collins has lowered his fastest lap time again on that circuit, and he has halved the gap to the leaders. So the way he's going, one more lap, this is a three-way battle for the lead.
He's taking buckets out of that margin in between him, and that gap is coming down a lot faster than even I was expecting. This is going to be an awesome scrap, and we're going to have a lot of time to see these top three cars hopefully duking it out. We see now the battle between the number 65 of Mendez ahead of Liam Scott here, with Harrison Blanchard just gapping them a little bit.
Yeah, they'll once again, you've got that same deal. Once you get into a battle pack, it's great, you've got to get around, but for the duration of the battle, you actually lose time to those that you're trying to chase down. So you've got to, as safely as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can, you've got to get that move done and then get on with catching the next car on the road.
Harrison Blanchard, of course, brother to Tim Blanchard, the 2007 Australian Formula Ford champion. A lot of Formula Ford pedigree in that Blanchard clan.
Absolutely, going to their father John, racing back in, I believe it was the 80s, and racing quite very, very competitively. So a long history with this category, and great supporters of Formula Ford racing, not only here in Victoria but nationally as well. Just watching the wonderful vision of these cars coming through the corners, see them moving around. Andy Lamrock does a fantastic job. He got caught at probably a convenient spot for him and was able to easily let the leaders through without becoming involved in their race in any way. So he'll let those guys go through, and the race continues.
Speaking of racing families here, Joey Fawcett, who's still hounding the back of Jake Santa Lucia, son of Mark Fawcett, a prominent competitor in Australian rally circles. So Joey's been making steady gains in the last 18 months, and we can see that evidence right here. He's got so much pace bottled up that needs to escape, but because he's stuck behind Jake Santa Lucia, for lack of a better word, Jake's driving a fantastic defensive race in the lead of this, it means that Collins has now caught the back of this pack. Yeah,
and this is what we've been speaking about for the last couple of laps. So, you know, and this brings a new dynamic in for Joe. It's no longer just focused on Jake in front of him trying to get around. Jake's job now hasn't changed. He's just eyes forward and keep them behind. But Joe's now, well, I can't be quite as aggressive with my overtaking moves because I can't leave myself vulnerable. I'd rather finish second than third.
Gee, Jake hasn't put a foot wrong so far this race. We're just seeing a replay of something at turn 7 before. That's, Harry Blanchard copying a little bit of a knock from Liam Scott there.
Leo Scott and Harry Blanchard coming together into 7. Just looked like maybe didn't expect the car in front to brake as early as it did. A little bit of contact there. Looks like both have continued, so no safety car, not too much damage, I wouldn't imagine. Just a couple of people hot under the helmets, I should think.
But it's great to see the racing is allowed to keep going without being interrupted by a safety car, because there is not long left to go in this scrap. And as I was saying, Santa Lucia has not put a foot wrong so far. He hasn't looked like he's even breaking a sweat behind the wheel of that car.
Driving a really, for such young people, driving a really mature race, driving very well indeed.
I wonder what Collins is thinking right now. It's obviously pretty hard to get past two cars when you've only got limited laps and overtaking opportunities to do so. But he's going to be pondering how he can make a move past Fawcett and then past Santa Lucia perhaps. But like I said, his opportunities are somewhat limited unless he can really pull something out of the bag.
Well, I mean, it's the next car in front, isn't it? You're not really thinking about trying to get them both at once. If that happens, then wonderful. But the reality is, you're looking at the car in front, you're summing that up, and you're thinking, where's my opportunity to get around them? And then the car in front of them factors in. You can see that already, that with that added pressure, just a slight gap that Jake's been able to extract on that lap. And so Joey will now put the eyes forward, head down the eyes forward again, and see if he can reel that back in, and see if he can drag Collins along with him.
Jack Bussey now the championship leader, currently sitting right on the back of Main's Ruddy as they go through turn 3 here. 2 pristine white cars, beautifully presented again, like a lot of the machinery here we're seeing in the Formula Ford field. And Jake Bussey has a lot of pace behind him. He's really trying to find a way past that number 69, but there's not too many opportunities here. Wonder if he can make something happen in the technical section through turns 7, 8, and 9. Little bit of a slide there on the run into 7, but great control. Yeah, look, it's that high speed through the sweeper, the left-hander, and then that change of direction on the right. The cars are incredibly light through there. They're sliding. It's almost Fast and the Furious drift spec. You don't want it quite that extreme, but that's literally what they're doing. They are just floating through those corners, and then you have to pull them up with a big brake to get it turned into the hairpin. So incredibly technical part of the track. Yeah, despite the open wheel nature of these cars, the whole lack of aerodynamic grip and the focus on mechanical grip and the old 4-speed shifts gearbox means you really have to muscle these cars around, don't you? Yeah, it's definitely a workout. Like today the conditions aren't too bad, but this is a pretty long race. You come up here on a Friday test day on a 40-degree day and do a 25-minute session. I tell you, you know about it at the end of it. And you string 7 of those together over a day, you sleep very well on the way home. We've got someone off at turn just 7. Rejoining. Yep, I think that's someone that change of direction possible that I was just alluding to, possibly caught out and it got away from them. We just saw earlier there that Bailey Collins dipped a couple of wheels in the dirt on the exit of 12, and that really compromised his speed down the main straight. So he's fallen off the back of the pack. We're just seeing a replay of what happened at turn 7, and he just, that looks like, I think that is Carly Fleming. So that's Carly Fleming going around there, and again, easy enough to do. There's cars incredibly light, doesn't take much. You're talking millimetres of the difference between catching that and that result there. And it's one of those things that the more you drive these cars and the more experience you get, the more innate your response times are. You feel the car starting to go and you catch the slide even before it even happens. But it takes a lot of experience to get to that point, doesn't it? Yeah, not only, but then the flip side of that is the more experience you get, the more you want to push those limits, so the bigger those slides become. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 situation with that. But even the most experienced, you'll see, because they are pushing to the limit, they can still have what looked like an easy spin, but there's a lot of skill involved in driving these at that level, and it doesn't take much for one to break away on you. Great race so far from Cody Main's Ruddy in 4th position. If he keeps this up, it'll be his best finish of the season so far. He's been really, really consistent so far, hovering around top 5, that sort of area, a little couple of spots below, but this will be his best finish if he can hold on to 4th. But there's a fair chance that he might be able to well, I say that, but there's actually quite a bit of a gap between himself and the car in front of Bailey Collins. So his main focus here will be making sure he keeps putting in consistent lap times and keeping the number 74 of Jack Bussey, our championship leader, behind him. Indeed. You'd think at this point, just under 4 minutes left to go. Maybe a couple of laps, maybe 3 if we're lucky. So definitely running out of laps for him to be thinking about catching Bailey Collins. Right now he'd be seeing the white car of Jack Bussey very, very large in his mirrors, and to an extent trying to put that out of his mind, right? You don't want to get sucked into looking at your mirrors, missing your apexes, missing your turn-in points. It's very much trying to focus on, you drive maybe a defensive line so as not to leave the door open, but outside of that, you've really got to try and remove the temptation to just be looking at mirrors. Same deal when you're chasing. You get into gearbox watching, and you suddenly, all the good work you did to catch the car in front, you suddenly just drop in like a metronome to their time, to their turn in, and you need to snap out of that as well and start to think about how you're going to get around them. And it builds the pressure in your own brain like nothing else when you start focusing on the car more than the driving itself. Yep, definitely. As we see now, this is a battle, I believe that's the number 10 of Liam Scott in front of Harry Sellers there. So Liam Scott obviously falling back quite a bit after a bit of a tangle at turn 7 that we saw earlier. So he's sitting, this is a battle for 13th position now between these two. So bit of a way back off the rest of the pack, but there's points to be paid all the way down to 20th position, so every spot counts.
Yeah, absolutely. So Leo and Harrison will both be looking to maximise, well, get the finish, get finished for starters, and then maximise the points that you take for that finish. Harrison looks just to have caught him a fraction into turn 3 and has a good run out of 4. So whether or not there's some time for him to get a move done, we will.
There's a little bit more time left. We haven't heard word that there's any sign of a checkered flag yet, so there might be one more lap in it for the leaders as we see Liam Scott just holding off at the moment, so holding on to that 13th position as they go through turn 7.
And our leaders are just coming on to the main straight now.
Yeah, they are making their way around a little bit of lap traffic, so Jake Santalucia has held very, very well, and they will have one more lap to go as they cross the line, I believe. So this will be a great little bit of racing here to finish. Joey Fawcett's going to try and have a look around the outside.
He's having the look. It's a long way around from there. I don't know that but he's tried for the over-under to position himself for the run into 3. Not quite. So does the smart thing, drops back in behind so he can take the proper racing line as they come down into 4. He'll be trying to find any way possible to get the move done on this lap.
Of course, it wasn't his only chance to try and get the move done, but his options are running out. The next one coming up very, very shortly here. They go through the turn 6 kink and turn 7. We'll see some different lines here. Joey Fawcett just slots in behind him, doesn't make any moves just yet. And they're sitting pretty much line astern here. They're not weaving around too much, trying to find any gaps on any sides here. But there may be a chance to get some good momentum through this turn 9 and get a good run down this short shoot into turn 10.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to make the move, you've got to get off the corners well. So too much. So we are being told that this is the last lap. So the drivers he's got basically a couple of corners left if anything's going to happen. You would think that looks like a winning lead now that Jake has. And full credit to him for driving a very good race.
Indeed, it's not just a very good race, it's been a very, very good weekend. 3 wins on the trot, a perfect weekend for Jake Santalucia.
And there is the checkered flag. So well done to all. Great flag-to-flag action here in Formula Ford. Congratulations to all the drivers out there. And Richard Davison keeping his perfect record alive for season 2023 as well. And the 3 drivers congratulating each other. That's fantastic to see as they all pull up. And we have reports that Jack Bussey dropped down to 8, a spin on the last lap at turn 4. He will be, I don't think we got footage of it, unfortunately for us. Fortunately for Jack, I'm sure he wouldn't want that replayed. He'll be kicking himself a very strong weekend and dropping a couple of places as a consequence of that. But full credit to Jake Santalucia, Joe Fawcett, great driving, looking at the back of cars all weekend.
And as a consequence of that spin from Jack Bussey, who now finishes in 8th position, that will promote Joey Fawcett to the lead of the championship by a margin of 3 points. So it's Fawcett from Bussey. Bezic drops to 3rd with Jake Santalucia off the back of this perfect weekend, jumping up to 4th in the standings.
Fantastic, and that'll be a just reward for Joe for some fantastic driving so far this year. Thank you very much for having me in the booth, Matt Yokohama. It's been wonderful to call Formula Ford action with you from Winton Motor Raceway, and I look forward to seeing you at round 3 at Phillip Island.
It's been a pleasure. I can't wait as the last few cars roll across the right line. It's been a pleasure calling the race with you, Paul, but it's also been a pleasure just watching the brilliant racing that we've seen in Formula Ford so far this weekend. Fantastic stuff from everyone on the field to put together a great bit scrap here. Let's have a look at the final results from race 3. So it is Jake Santalucia completing a perfect weekend. 3 wins from 3 starts ahead of Joey Fawcett, the new championship leader, by a margin of just a quarter of a second. Bailey Collins rounding out the podium in 3rd ahead of Cody Mains-Ruddy in 4th position. Zach Lobko making his way back up to 5th, a great recovery drive from the number 7 there, ahead of Eddie Bezic. Damon Woods in 7th in the number 56. Jack Bussey dropping to number 8. Fraser Hiei in the 9th position, and rounding out the top 10, Jared Farrell in the number 44.